excuse me. You know, for most things I've discovered in life that for things to go correctly, to move correctly, you have to have all the parts. And sometimes you even have extra parts if you don't follow the instructions. But you at least got to have the parts that's required, right? And not only do you have to have the parts, they need to be put together what? Correctly. Because if they're not put together correctly, it just doesn't work, does it? This week I was looking on Facebook and I saw this meme and it said, you had one job. And I looked below it and there's a film and on this video, it's a ceiling fan hanging down with lights on it. But instead of the fan going around and the light standing still, the fan blades are standing still and the lights are just spinning. It looked almost like a disco light or something. I don't know. But obviously somebody got their wires crossed or didn't follow those instructions, or maybe just wired it wrong. I don't know, but it definitely wasn't what it was supposed to be, was it? So I got a big kick out of that. I thought you would too. But today I want to talk about us and how, even though God's given us some really clear instructions about what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to act and how we're supposed to be, sometimes we don't follow the instructions. Sometimes we're missing some parts. Sometimes we're just wired wrong. You know, and it happens to all of us. I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. I don't have that many fingers. But if I did, I'd probably point them back at me first because I'm that way. Sometimes I miss the boat because we all fall short at some point, right? So I'm not sitting here casting blame, but I want to give you something to think about, right? God gave us very clear instructions. What were they? You know, the commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. Basically, everything you got, you need to love God with all that. And then you need to love your neighbor as yourself. Amen? Amen. That's pretty simple stuff. I think any of you could probably recite that. And you know it, right? You know it. I could have called on anybody. I'm sure anybody in this room could have recited that for me. You know it. It's simple. How can we mess it up? And I know a lot of you sitting there saying, he's going to preach on love again. That man preaches on love more than anybody I know. I've never seen a sermon half the time. If he don't mention love, it's not a Kenny sermon. Why do you preach love so much, Kenny? Why you always got to mention love? I said, well, I think that's a key aspect of the gospel, isn't it? I think that's what the gospel preaches. I think that's what the gospel is about, God's love for us, our love for God. But good news, we're not talking about love today. I just wanted to bring that up so you could okay, I can stay away from this one. But what I want to do is talk about something that's an offshoot of love. I want to talk a little bit different word today. I think we might have probably already got love down. I've preached about that so much. But this word I want to share with you today is a different word. It's called compassion. Does anybody know what compassion is? Have you ever experienced compassion? Has anybody ever experienced or extended compassion to you? Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Jesus Christ shared compassion with all of us.
Having compassion is you're moved in heart to do something.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people think compassion is just pity or extended sympathy to somebody. But compassion is more than that. Good point, Billy. Compassion is that sympathy or pity, but it's also the desire to make a change. In other words, compassion is something that moves you. Say that with me. Compassion moves you. I want to make sure you get that. Compassion what? Moves you. That's right. Compassion is something that you look at a situation and you have a desire in your heart to make a change, and then you actually move to make that change, to make a difference in the world. You see, a lot of people think compassion is just saying, oh, isn't that terrible? Isn't that bad? bad. That sure is bad. Isn't that tragic? You know, and then, you know, go out and we're going to form a committee, and then we're going to pray about it, and everybody wants to pray about it, and that's good. It's good to pray, but we need to do more than just pray. We need to be active. We need to be moved by our emotions that stir us to a different place where we actually do something about the situation. In other words, it's good to recognize that people are in need. It's good to recognize that people are hungry. It's good to recognize that somebody's sick, but to actually try to do something to bring them to a better place than where they were before they met us. You see, Jesus did that all the time. You see, if we're supposed to follow the leadership of Jesus, then we want to try to act and to be as much like Jesus, right? You're not called to be a fan of Jesus. You're called to be a follower of Jesus. You know the difference, right? A fan says, "Good job, Jesus. You did really good. That was great. I like the way you walked on water. Good stepping. I like it. You know, way to turn that water into wine. Can you come to my house? You know, I'm having a party on Thursday." But it's not, you know, we can't do those things, but what we can do is follow some of the actions, some of the things, the examples that he set for us, right? That's a follower. If I'm a follower of somebody, I try to be like them, right? And we're supposed to try to be Christ-like how many days of the week?
7.
Every day. 7. 7 days a week, every day. We're supposed to try to be like Christ. Now see, in today's passage it says that Jesus, it says that in seeing the multitudes, that Jesus felt compassion for them. It doesn't say Jesus loved them. It doesn't say Jesus rejected them. It doesn't say Jesus took off, said, "Oh, that's a terrible thing. I got to go though. I'm busy." It doesn't say any of that. He said he took compassion on them because they were like lost sheep without a shepherd. They were somebody in what? A lost sheep without a shepherd is somebody who's in a sheep that's in what?
Trouble.
He's in trouble, and he's in
Need.
He's in need. So he's going to need that shepherd to do something, right? To find him, to rescue him, to provide for his needs, right? There's compassion. There's other places in the Bible. It's not the only place where it says that Jesus had compassion. Jesus went away in Matthew 14:14. Jesus had gone away to pray. He had gone away to pray, to be by himself, but the people found out where he was. So they brought their lame and their blind and their sick. They came to the place where it was. And in Matthew 14 it says that he saw the multitude and he had compassion on them, and he healed the people they had brought to him. Now see, Jesus showed compassion over and over and over again throughout the New Testament. If you only look for it, you'll find it in the Scriptures that Jesus was moved to compassion by the situations he encountered. Jesus took time, because of his compassion, he took time to spend time with who? Sinners. Right? The outcasts of society. Jesus didn't hang out with the do-gooders. Right? We see time and time again, Jesus is hanging out with the sinners. Some of you are saying, "I can do that." I mean, you're doing it right now. I mean, aren't we? Jesus had compassion, and it moved him to hang out with the sinners. Jesus had compassion that he came and freed us from the legalism that the Pharisees had set. Where they had set so many rules that nobody could do all those things. It was almost so overwhelming that you didn't even want to try. Right? You know, you ever been overwhelmed? Right? You ever been overwhelmed that they say just one more thing, and by the way, one more thing, and by the way, one more thing, and then there's this. And did I mention this? And oh, and here's another one. You know, when you get that many rules, you just give up. You're like, I might as well not do anything. Right? And Jesus came down and he freed us from the legalism that the Pharisees had set by adding rules and rules and rules and regulations upon the simple thing that God wanted us to know was that what? Love God and love your neighbor. That's pretty simple stuff. right? That's two things. Can you remember that? Love God, love your neighbor. You got it. That's it. That's what he asked us to do. Now, there's some offshoots of that, right? There's some things that spill over out of that. But those are two basic things. We said them at the very beginning. Went, love God, love your neighbor. Love God, love your neighbor. This isn't complicated stuff. Is it?
Nope.
No, this is easy stuff. Jesus had compassion in his ministry. He healed the diseased people. Those people who were suffering, those people who were sick. Jesus had compassion. His compassion moved to heal the blind, to heal the lepers, to embrace the outcast of society. Jesus had compassion by all those people. He saw those people and was moved by those people and left them in a better situation than where he found them. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. It moved him, his compassion moved him to raise the widow's son from the dead. His compassion moved him to raise Lazarus from the dead and return him to his grieving family. It was his compassion that moved him to do all those things. It was his compassion for me and you and for all the world that moved him to the cross. It was his compassion seeing that we were in need, that we were sinners, that we had fallen short, that led him to the cross to pay a price for us that we could never repay ourselves, to bridge the gap, that we may spend eternity in God's presence. Amen? But he did it out of what? Compassion. He recognized our downfallen state. He recognized that we were in need, and his compassion, his love for us, moved him to the cross where he could pay that price. Jesus' compassion moved him. Do you get that? It moved him. Now here's the question. Does your compassion move you? Or are you someone who sits around saying, ain't that terrible? That's bad. That's really bad. That's bad. Really bad. That's tough stuff. That's sad. That makes me emotional. I don't want to look at that anymore. It makes me sad. It makes me sad. I'm not. No. Let's just turn the page. Let's go watch something funny. I can't take that anymore. Or do you say, that's sad. I need to do something about that. I need to help that person out. I need to help them out. I need to be moved to make the world a better place. I can't just accept it that these people are hungry. That you say, well, they made some bad choices. They ought to be hungry. No, nobody ought to be hungry. No. They made some bad choices, or they may have been born into poverty beyond their control. But nobody needs to be hungry. Have you ever seen a hungry child? It's not pretty. You should be moved to fix those things. You should be moved to make a difference. Your compassion should move you from a place of sitting to a place of moving. Christianity is not a sit-down religion. It is a relationship with God who calls you to love and calls you to have compassion with other people and to strive to make a difference. I'm just the one person. I can't make no difference. Nothing I can do. I don't have any means. I don't have it. You know. Don't accept defeat so easily. You have more than what you think you do. It's not always about monetary. Sometimes it's a card being sent. Sometimes it's just being present and offering somebody your presence, shoulder to cry on. Sometimes it's just a hug. Sometimes it's just saying, hey, I'm here. That's compassion. That makes their world maybe just a little bit better. You may not have the money to invest in that. You may not. And it's okay if you don't. But you can still make a difference. I'm not talking about money here, folks. I'm talking about compassion. You see, compassion moves you to do something. There's a story of a little girl. and she went to her closet and she pulled out her mason jar that served as her piggy bank. And she took it over to her bed and she emptied it out and she counted her money. She counted it, not once, not twice, but 3 times because she wanted to make sure she had the count right. It came to $1.11. just so you know. And she gathered her money up and put it in the back of the jar, and she took off to the pharmacy right down the road. It was about 6 blocks up the road. Had a red sheep in front of it. I can't even remember the name of it. But anyway, she went into the pharmacy, and she stood there patiently as the pharmacist was talking to this other man, and he just kept talking and talking and talking. You know how people get involved in conversations. He was just talking, and little kids are hanging out, and you're not really paying attention. And she was like, like, I'm here, you know, you need to recognize me. And finally, she took a quarter out of the jar, and she said, the pharmacist turned to her and said, "Yes, ma'am. How can I help you? I'm very busy. I'm talking to my brother. He's from Chicago. He hasn't been here in a long time. I'd just like to catch up with him. Can I help you with something?" She said, "I need to buy a miracle." He said, "Well, we don't sell miracles here." She said, "Well, I need a miracle, and I need to buy a miracle." And the man that he was talking to said, what do you mean you need to buy a miracle?" He said, "Well, my brother's got this growth in his head, and he needs an operation. And Mom and Dad said it's going to take a miracle. It's going to take a miracle for him to live because they can't afford it. So I'm here. I want to pay for that miracle with my money." And the man said, "Well," so she said, "Well, how much does a miracle cost? Because if I need more money, I'll find it. But this is what I got today." And he said, "Well, how much do you have?" And she said, $1.11. And he said, "Well, you know what? That just happens to be what a miracle costs. It's $1.11. You see, the man who was standing there was a doctor who was a neurosurgeon. And he said, so he took her money, and he took her hand. He said, "Take me to your brother." So she took him home, and he ended up doing the surgery for free, or for $1.11, if you would. It's kind of like the doctor's taking insurance money now. But anyway, that's a different subject. But a $1.11 thing. And you know, the boy lived. Her brother lived. Her brother lived because the little girl had a little bit of faith and was willing to go out and do something. He lived because the doctor was moved with compassion and did something. How easy would it have been for him to say, "That's terrible. I'm sorry. I got to go off at 10. I got to go." But no, he was moved by compassion. And so he did something most people wouldn't even dream of doing. He performed this life-saving surgery on this young man who lived. As his parents gathered in the days that followed, they knew it was truly a miracle that this had happened. So I guess if you have $1.11, you can buy a miracle, because we all need miracles in our life. But that was the cost that day. You know, you have an opportunity to be someone's miracle, to show compassion, to make a difference in their life, bring a smile to their face, a little joy to their heart. Maybe that's all they need. Maybe that's all they need today. They may need financial things. They may need a lot of things that you can't provide, but what can you provide? That's what you got to ask yourself. I don't have this, but I can do this. I don't have this, but I can do this. You know, all of us are given different talents. All of us are. You may not know what yours are, but I guarantee you have one. I guarantee you. You have something that you can do for someone else. You see, that's where the blessing in our life comes. That's where following Christ comes into play. If we love others, then we'll feel compassion. They go together. I had to bring love in there. Sorry, guys. But if you love somebody, you feel compassion. Don't you? Yeah. Isn't that a natural offshoot? If I love you and I see you in pain, I want to do something for you. I don't know what I can do. I'm not a doctor. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express. But I can go over there and give you a hug. I can pray for you. I can love on you. I can help you out financially. I got $1.11. So, I mean, if you need that. But I can do something, right? Sometimes it's just the touch of a human hand on somebody's shoulder saying, you know, I love you and I'm praying for you. I hope we can do more than that, but if that's where you need to start, then start with that. Because we all got hands, and we all got love, I hope. And we all can pray. You see, it can be that simple. But when you're moved by compassion, you need to do something. You need to get out of your seat and move. Say it with me, move. You need to move. You got to be, you know, love is an action word, and so is compassion. They move you. They move you to do something, and we all need to be moved to do something. God's saying, you know, I love you sitting on the sidelines and cheering, but it's time for you to go in the game and get your uniform dirty. And that's what he calls us to do. Because sometimes loving people and showing compassion to people is hard. You get hit, and you get dirty, and it's not as nice as standing on the sideline saying, yay, team, I'm pulling for you. I really am. Is it? That's what's required. It's what's required. It's not a sitting Sunday type thing. It's a, you know, I've seen in this church, there's a lot of compassion for each other in this church. But it's not just in this church. We need to go out in the world and show those folks compassion too. You know, I love that this church loves each other. It's a tight community, and I love that. It's something you don't usually experience in large churches. There's a couple of friends there, but you lose some of this country church feeling when you go to a really huge church. Okay? So I love that about this church. But we got to take it out of here. You can't just leave it in your seat and pick it up next week when you come in. You know, we got to take it with us. You know, there's enough stuff to clean up in here after Sunday. We need to take it out there with us and use it in the world. That we need to love on people who are hard to love. We need to show compassion to every person that we meet. We don't need to just sit there and say, oh, that's terrible. We need to start thinking, how can I change that person's life in a positive way? What can I do? Can I call somebody? Can I help them? Can I get them a tank of gas? I know somebody who works on cars. Can I hook them up? What can I do? Not just, this is terrible. Isn't that tragic? So sad. We need to do more than that. It's not just about moving your emotions. It's about moving you. Compassion moves you.
Would you say empathy is the same thing as compassion?
No. Compassion moves you. Do you feel like moving? Are you ready for it to be over? Can we stand now? Can we sing? I'm tired of sitting. Are you ready to be moved? You know, the thing is that I hope you are. You know, I hope this sermon moved you a little bit. I hope, if it did, if it moved you, you know what, I'm really glad. If it rekindled something in you that makes you want to go out and make a difference in someone's life, I'm really glad. If it challenged you a little bit, to do a little soul searching, to go back and examine your life and what you're doing with it, and makes you rethink, you know, maybe I've been sitting too long and it's time for me to get back in the game, then I'm glad. But if you're sitting there thinking, that doesn't apply to me, I'm not buying it, I'm not moved by it, I don't have a desire to help other people, and I'm just not part of that game. It's not going to be part of what I do. Then that makes me sad. I think it makes God sad. You know, Jesus came and showed us all compassion. In his daily journey to the cross, and even on the cross. We're called to be his followers. If you don't feel compassion for other people, I think you have to question whether you're really a follower or if you're a fan. You like the idea of Christ, and you like the idea of salvation, and you like the idea of showing up on Sunday at church, but you don't really want to do anything with it. You want to set it on a shelf to look at, to hold on to. tell your neighbors about it. You know, but they say, they'll know we are Christians by our love. And I'd add to that by our compassion. You see, I think they're both tied together. That when you love some people, when you love your neighbors, and you'll show them compassion, that you'll reach out, that you'll be moved to action, just like Jesus was. And you'll try to leave them in a better place than where you found them. I think that's what God's people are called to do. I believe it with all my heart. I wouldn't tell you that if I didn't. I pray that this week, somewhere in your week, somewhere in your walk, somewhere in your journey this week, you're going to find something to be compassionate about. That you're going to see somebody in need, somebody who needs a hug, or somebody who needs something, and you're going to be moved by compassion to leave them in a better place than where you found them. You see, if you do that, then you'll be experiencing the life that Christ wanted you to experience, because there's joy in helping others. There truly is a special joy that doesn't come from a community faceless helping, although that's good in situations. But when you see the face of someone you've helped, there's a blessing in that. It's a blessing I can't describe to you. You need to experience it for yourself, and I hope you will. I hope you will. I hope you will be moved this week. And all God's people said, amen.